Saitama vs. Garou is finally over, but man did we get some insane feats in chapters 166, 67, and 68. We saw Saitama reach a level that very few could have possibly ever imagined that he would achieve, and we're not even at the end of the series yet. So in today's video, I wanted to go over some of Saitama's craziest feats in their fight in outer space, and also talk about what would happen if Saitama never lost that strength after time traveling. But just before that, if you guys enjoy One Punch Man and One Punch Man related content, then this is the place for you. I drop One Punch Man chapter reviews immediately after they come out. I also talk about a lot of One Punch Man theories and discussions, much like this video, so you'll never have any shortage of One Punch Man content here. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Like I said earlier, some of the feats that we saw in outer space when Saitama and Garou were fighting were some of the most craziest things that you can ever possibly read in a battle manga. Like for example, the serious table flip, which completely destroyed the surface of Io. Now Io is about a quarter of the size of the planet Earth, but we also have to keep in mind that Saitama used this move with only one hand. So we can assume that if he used both of his hands, he'd be able to do double the damage or even more because he has more leverage to be able to, yank the ground up as hard as he possibly could. So I think we can safely assume that if Saitama performed the serious table flip on Earth with both his hands and still had the same amount of power that he did on Io, he'd be able to get pretty close to obliterating the entire surface of Earth with just a single move. Now later on in the fight, as Garou and Saitama both start to become exponentially stronger as the fight goes on, we see these charts where it shows Garou's and Saitama's exponential growth, and eventually we see that Saitama's growth far exceeds that of Garou's, and he just reaches a level that is unimaginable because immediately after this, we see that Saitama performs the serious sneeze, which by all accounts just looks like a regular sneeze to him, but it was enough to literally blow off the surface of Jupiter. Now Jupiter of course is many times the size of Earth, so we can assume that that one sneeze performed on the planet Earth would completely blow it away to pieces. Not only this, but there's actually a video by Kyle Hill, which is a great YouTube channel. He's a really, in-depth science guy on YouTube. I know I'm kind of butchering his channel a little bit. I'll leave a link to the video I'm referring to in the description. I definitely recommend you guys check it out after this. But essentially what he calculates is that the force it would take to blow off the surface of Jupiter like Saitama did is enough to completely obliterate the planet Earth and send its tiny little pieces as far as the end of the known universe, which is just completely insane to think about. I mean, just think about it. Like one day Saitama gets a cold and lets out his first sneeze and boom, the planet Earth is gone. Now even after this, after Saitama defeats Garou and Garou realizes that what he's done, which was kill a ton of people with his cosmic radiation, was completely wrong, and he just regrets everything and wants to reset everything, teaches Saitama how to literally travel through time just by copying his technique. Now again, you could check out Kyle Hill's video that I link in the description that'll give you guys an idea of how much energy that really would take, which is an insane amount. But just the fact that Saitama was able to look at Garou's technique and copy it to use literally his own body to create the amount of energy it takes to travel back in time is pretty freaking bonkers if you ask me. And if Saitama were to remember how to do this, if his future self were maintained in the current timeline that they're in, Saitama would literally be able to time travel anytime that he wanted. This way he'll never miss a sale at the supermarket again. But that's even if there's still a supermarket to shop from if he ever came back that strong. Because like I said, the implications of Saitama's insane strength make him the greatest danger to planet Earth that they could possibly ever have. I mean, you could even say that before he powered up like this, but it holds even more truth now. So let's just take, for example, the scenario if Saitama does the same stuff that he did with Garou. He travels back in time to stop him before he kills everybody. But the only thing that changes is that Saitama doesn't fuse with his former self. So everything else that we see in chapter 169 takes place where the whole chapter kind of wraps up. And the only thing that's really different is that Saitama remembers everything that happened and he retains all of his strength. So the first thing that Saitama would do is what we see him do at the end of chapter 169, which is look through the rubble of all the destroyed buildings and structures from the Monster Association arc and try to find what's left of his home. Even doing something as simple as this, putting his hand in the ground like we saw with the serious table flip, would more than likely be enough to destroy a good portion of the crust without him even intending to do so. Once he actually finds a place to live, let's say he's just taking a nap, and we all know when we're sleeping, we probably fart when we don't even know it. And just imagine one fart from Saitama like he used to propel himself through the hyperspace gate that Garou used to escape. If it was enough to propel him through space at such a great speed, we can only imagine how insane the force from that fart is. So in his sleep, he can quite literally level the building he's in and probably many buildings within like a mile radius. And even crazier than that, like I said earlier, if Saitama were to just get a cold and sneeze, that'd be curtains for the planet Earth, right? Well, I mean, there's a ton of things in our daily life that can make us sneeze, like pet hair, or just a tickle on your nose, or a cold. Little things like that, like any little thing like that that would cause Saitama to sneeze would end life as we know it on Earth instantly. So I, for one, I think it's a pretty great idea that One and Murata decided to reset Saitama's strength back to where he was before Garou vs. Saitama took place. We learned in these couple chapters that we have barely even scratched the surface of what Saitama is capable of. We thought that he was infinitely powerful before Saitama fought Garou, but now we know that there is so much more room to grow for him. You can argue that Saitama had this strength all along and he wasn't able to really tap into it until he faced an opponent that would push him that far. But either way, an opponent as strong as Garou doesn't come along very often in the series, so it's safe to say that for now the planet is safe with Saitama living on it. But what do you guys think? What do you think would happen if Saitama retained his strength from his fight with Garou? Do you guys think he'd be a danger to the planet Earth like I do, or do you think he'd find a way to somehow manage it and control his strength? Let me know in the comments. I do really appreciate you guys sharing your thoughts in the comments. It definitely always gives me something to think about and gives me ideas for future videos. So please make sure to comment. And if I'm not asking for too much, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. And please subscribe if you haven't already. And make sure to turn notifications on, because once the next chapter of One Punch Man comes out, best believe I'll have a video within 2 hours of that chapter coming out. So you won't want to miss it. But until next video, I'll see you guys later.